We are back. It's been a little while, but we're back with another episode of Paul Mort Talk Shit. And today, I am talking shit with the great and powerful Greg Wallen.
Thanks for having me, Morty.
Are you excited?
Man. Yeah. Nervous,
I love it.
but
Nervous. All right,
time,
so listen, Greg's been in for we've done a bit of a consult upstairs today, and we finished a little bit early. Mainly because Leslie was there, me and Greg would have talked about the same shit for 8 hours. And I thought, you know what, we've got a little hour spare. And I think Greg's got a lot of value to offer to you guys listening. Greg, first question, how long have you been in business for?
13 years this year.
13 years. And what was it that made you step into being self-employed?
I think really working for the man, I think kind of maybe swayed. Do you know what I mean? Just made me sway from...
Do I know what you mean? Of course I do,
I'm working my ass off to pay for other people to live their dreams, paying for them to spend 6, 7, 8 weeks a year on holiday, sending their kids to private schools, driving nice cars.
All the things that we're doing now.
Exactly. But I'm grafting my bollocks off for it, driving around in a 10-year-old Vauxhall Insignia.
Yes.
You know, going to Morrison's every weekend, living in fear that my credit card's going to bounce because I've maxed it out.
Yeah, yeah.
I just thought there had to be a better way to life.
Let me ask you about this then, because I actually got asked this morning on Instagram. There's a transition that has to happen between you being employed and having that security and safety and knowing you're going to get paid. Yeah. There's a transition between you doing that and making the leap to going self-employed. Like, how did you get your head around that? What did you do?
I winged it.
Did you? Yeah. And were you still living at home on that then? Or were you,
no.
Did you have your own? Because that's a big fucking jump for a lot of people.
No. So obviously my story, as you know, I lived in Australia for 2 years, lived in New Zealand for 2 years. I had a few visa issues, shall we say, out in New Zealand, and we decided as a
Funny enough, you've never mentioned going back there.
We decided it was probably better I didn't go back.
I want to know what register you're on. Apart from the don't let him back in the country one.
Yeah, no,
so you did all that and then...
Yeah, I came back to the UK and I got a job, started working for someone, and I just thought, this isn't for me anymore. I'd give it a go. And I sat down with my mum and dad. My mum said it was just the world's most horrific idea ever. I should just stick to...
Parents encouraging you to stay in a secure job. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, I know, but it's just... Look at it this way. 30, 40 years ago, their generation, when my parents got married, a house was 25 grand.
Yeah.
And you're not earning much less than you are now comparatively. So to work for the man now, where the wage is, what's the minimum wage now? £11.50 an hour, something like that. If you think you're earning that and your base rate's 23 grand a year, your rent's £1,000 for a 2-bed flat, you know, your car finance is 500 quid a month, tax, insurance, MOTs, paying for kids, clothes. Working for someone, unless you're doing a very special job, is going to be very, very hard to support you and your family.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. So your mum tried to put you off?
Yeah, and my dad kind of supported me. He said we should give it a go.
Yeah.
I think he probably thought I was going to fail, but at least he could say he supported me through it.
Yeah.
But then first year didn't go very well.
You had all the fears that everyone has, like, what if this doesn't work? What if I can't pay me bills? What if this? What if that? Like, did you just... I'll say this to people all the time. This is not that complicated. You solve all that with fucking action, right?
Yeah.
And that's all you did. Just fucking went in and thought, fuck it, I'm all in on this.
Yeah.
I think it takes a special kind of personality to do that. Like, there's not that many people. Like, I get asked about it all the time. How do I make this transition? I'm like, well, I'm not a good person to ask.
Yeah.
I'm like, burn the fucking boats, man.
Yeah.
Burn the boats. And I think the mad thing is, people think that they have to leave their job and do the business. And then if the business fails, they failed. I'm like, you can't just go back and get another job if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so first year didn't go so well.
Yeah. So we turned over 50 grand on year one.
Yeah.
For about 90 hours a week, 7 days a week.
And was that just you, or did you have a team, or?
For about the first 9 months was just me.
Yeah.
And then my business partner came in.
Yeah.
And he's been with me ever since.
Yeah. And just so everyone's aware, at that point, what was the business?
Electrical engineering.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And was it the Wi-Fi? Was it all that, or?
This is basically just sort of commercial and domestic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
That was before we got into our niche market. We started making our real money.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk about that, because you've got the maddest niche market out of it. I mean, we've had guys that sell shuttlecocks, guys that sell blinds, we've got singing waiters. Yours is by far the maddest. Yeah, I mean the guy that does the security for Microsoft and that's up there. So first year didn't go so bad. Was there any? Sorry, it didn't go so well. Was there any point where you thought about going back to working for the man or being self-employed or?
Every day.
Was it?
Every day.
Really?
And I used to tell myself, I was ready to quit every single day of the week.
Yeah.
It was.
Why didn't you?
Because I didn't want to be in a situation where if I bailed and my business partner or the people that were working with me, for me, however you want to word it, kept going, and then they cracked it, I would never be able to live with myself being the one that bailed. Yeah,
that's interesting. I'll tell you what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say, because I didn't want to look like I'd failed. I think a lot of people struggle. I didn't want to look like I failed. I didn't want to be the one that gave up. I wanted to prove people wrong. I'm interested that you didn't say that.
Failure doesn't really worry me or concern me.
Yeah.
My biggest fear is not being able to achieve what I think I can achieve.
Yes.
And you know from the conversations I do. I'm the first to admit that I'm money driven. I believe that money solves most problems in the world. I know that divides opinion. But I just need to work as hard as I can. I can provide for my family. I can provide for my children.
Yes.
And that's why I do what I do.
Yes.
End of.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit I'm not doing it to solve world hunger.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, you are solving a lot of problems, though.
I do solve problems.
And that's the thing that you said. We've talked about this before. Like, if you think about it, if money can solve a lot of problems, well, if you can solve problems, in exchange for that, you tend to get a lot of money.
Yeah.
I have this conversation about money so regularly because if I want to get traction or a reaction on social media, there's two things that I can mention. Boozing makes people lose their shit. As soon as I mention it, and mentioning money, people get so emotional about it and so mad. But I believe that if you can change your mindset around money, everything will change for you. And money, and you think about it, this is where I really understood it. I say to people, well, what do you spend money on? Like, how do you make a decision about where your money goes?
People spend money on what they value.
Exactly.
What they feel important to them.
Exactly. So then you've got to be a person. If you're a business that is a value to other people, people will spend money with you. And sometimes the mad part is, the most important part about that is being able to demonstrate that you bring value to businesses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's marketing, isn't it?
100%.
Where did your mindset around money come from then?
Oh, I don't really know.
Because I'm the same. I'm like, well, my dad worked in the same factory for 30 years. My mum worked in Asda.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from.
My dad's a builder.
Yeah.
Was a builder. He's retired.
Was he self-employed, your dad?
Yeah.
Oh, so you had a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah. My dad had his own business.
Yeah.
He is retired. I've actually dragged him out of retirement.
I think that's amazing.
For the second time in 2 years. My mum worked for the water board. So I think I always saw my dad doing his own thing.
Yeah.
And I always saw mum. So my mum's very analytical, logical, like normal to a certain extent. Do you know what I mean? She knows.
I do.
She gets paid at the end of each month. That's her salary. Then she knows she needs that for gas, water, electric, mortgage. And that's the be all and end all.
Yes.
And she's left with that pot of money which goes towards holidays.
Yes.
My dad, on the other hand, it was like feast or famine.
Yeah.
You know, if he wanted to earn more money, he'd work late. He'd work a Saturday.
Yes.
He'd work a Sunday. He'd work a bank holiday.
Yes.
And I think that was where I sort of probably, without thinking about it, started to see value.
Yes.
And the thing is, with having your own business and sales, there's no cap on what you can earn.
I agree.
But you get out what you put in.
Yes.
And back to what you say about...
Because it could be fuck all.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the thing. And that's what I was thinking when you were talking there. I was thinking, when I said it, I was like, it's kind of, when I said, where did you pick that up? I'm like, you fucking have to.
Yeah.
Or you don't survive.
Yeah.
You don't get your head around money and how it works and how to become a person of value and a business of value. It just, you go under, full stop.
What? Right. If you're going back to the money thing, and you say, when you do, obviously you've got a big social media following, you get questions, and I know you get a lot of shit and a lot of abuse as well because you share some of it with me.
I love it. I do love it, yeah. I mean, you're welcome to the show.
Oh, I've never known anyone get so much grief and so much abuse, but it's just water off a duck. And you like actively call people out and ask.
It's a lot of fun. Okay. It's a lot of fun. There's a whole section of my book dedicated to that.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
But people that get triggered by money, back to business and tradespeople in particular, because that's what I can relate to and what I do.
Yes.
You talk about money and people you trigger on social media.
It's like an emotion, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. How many of the people you trigger on social media that get shitty with you or start giving you abuse about money? How many of them actually have any money?
No, none of them.
And is their profile picture always a picture of a cat?
Dog.
Right,
yeah. I thought dogs are meant to make you happy.
Was it?
It's always the same, dogs, they're always fat and they've always got a dog. Yeah, and it is interesting to me because it's almost like, I talked about this on a seminar I did yesterday. I was talking about the problem in this country a lot of the time is, if you don't have the belief that money is attracted to value and that people spend money on things they value, then the opposite belief is you think you're entitled to money.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big problem in this country right now. People think they're entitled to something that they haven't worked for. And I get that. And what makes me sad is I do see people, because we always think it's lazy people, but actually there are people that work their fucking arse off that are struggling to make ends meet. And that makes me a little bit sad.
Have you not realised, though, that normally, I'm not talking about people that work the most, the people that work the hardest often earn the less.
Yes.
The least.
Yeah, which is mad.
Yeah.
And I think that's often because, and again, it's because it's not always about hard work. I remember talking to a lady who was, she was a cleaner. And I said, the problem is a lot of people can do cleaning. Yeah. It's not that valuable a role. So I get that you work really hard, but that's not a highly skilled job. Do you know what I mean? It's not a high skill.
It's not, but it can still be profitable. If you're a cleaner,
I said, well, why don't you start your own business?
Exactly. If you're a cleaner working for a cleaning company and if you're getting, say, if minimum wage is £11.50 and you're getting £11.60.
Mate, my mum's getting 20 quid an hour off me.
Is she?
I've just realised I'm paying her double the minimum wage.
I know.
I mean, she does a great job.
But I've met your mum. And I bet you've not even had a chance to even negotiate the wage. She just takes it out your bank.
Takes out my bank. She never puts holidays in. She just says, I can't make it this week.
Yeah.
And I always give her holiday pay. I'm sick. Well, that's mad that. I've never thought about
it's
that.
Family, innit?
But I'm sure she's not paying tax.
100% not. That takes up 50% of your income.
It does.
She's working hard.
Go into that then about the hard work thing and the business thing. Like, because I think you're about to uncover something amazing before I rudely interrupted you.
That's okay. So with the cleaning analogy, it applies to tradespeople, it applies to most businesses, even if you have a lower income job. If you're a cleaner and you're earning £11.50 an hour, for example.
And you're not scared of hard work.
No. If you work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, you know how much you're going to earn.
Yeah.
But where you tip the scales in your favour, like you said, starting your own business, if you employ someone cleaning for you, and you're billing them out at, say, £15 an hour.
Yes.
You're then making £4 an hour off of that person.
Yes.
And you take another person.
Yes.
And it's another £4 an hour.
Yeah.
When that compounds over a matter of time, you start to make more money.
And a matter of people.
Exactly.
Because you do that again.
Exactly.
Talk about this then, Greg, because you obviously get, how many people would you say are in your team, subbies and full-time people?
About 28 of us currently.
28 people.
Staff,
And that's a lot of staff, right? And I think, and you know the type of people that I work with, I tend to work with I would say 60% of the people that I work with are like solopreneurs, so they're sole traders, one-man bands.
Yeah.
And I think they have a big fear around employing people. And we were talking about it upstairs, so I'd love you to run over that. How do you get over that fear of employing somebody? Because you think about this, you bring someone in and you pay them 30 grand a year, that's 30 grand a year out of your pocket.
Yeah.
If you see like that, what are some of the things that you've done to get your head around hiring somebody? Because it is a big jump.
It is a
big jump.
And it's not easy. But
I'd been in business 19 years before I hired somebody full time. Really? 19 years. That's nice. 5 years after I made my first million, which is wild.
Yeah. But knowing what you know now and how far you've come, if you could wind the clock back, say 18 years.
I triple me income the first year I hired someone.
Boom. You've got it.
One person.
But fear is quite often what holds you back. And it can hold you back or you can let it drive you.
Because it's actually, I love that you've said that, because I think about fear, is it a low energy state or a high energy state? It's high energy. It has its own
flight.
It has its own temperature. It has its own fucking heart rate. Do you know what I mean? It does. It has its own heart rate. It has its own temperature. So you're right. You can either use it. And what do you think the difference is between letting it cripple you and using it? What do you think there?
You know me. I play it quite close to the wire, don't I? And I probably go too far sometimes.
Yeah.
But you need to be at a point, I think, when you're running your own business, especially in the early days, where you're probably at the point where you're thinking, I'm going to make my first hire. Or do I take on an apprentice? Which way do I go down?
The first one.
It's a big decision.
It's a big decision. The first one.
But almost I think the right time to go is the time when you think you shouldn't go. Because
I think we leave it too late a lot of the time, I think.
They do.
You hire someone in a rush. you're already busy, so you can't train them, you can't onboard them, you're already full, and then you're like, fuck it, I may as well do this on my own. Yeah.
Compare it to like the Kell Brook and Amir Khan boxing fight. It happened 10 years too late, didn't it?
Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, the same.
Yeah, 100%. So if you look at that in business terms, you need to strike like now.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, if you take on an apprentice, take on a junior member of staff, what happens if it doesn't work out?
Yeah. You can let them go.
What happens?
Yeah, that's hard. I always say that the way to get, one of the ways you can get your head around this is just build in a 3-month probation.
Yeah.
If they know the deal, it's a 3-month probation. Let's see if it works out. I think
you can extend that as well.
I think a lot of the time, Greg, the challenge that a lot of people have with this is they're like, have I got enough work for them? What I find is when you bring them in, you fucking find work for them.
Exactly. So when you have mouths to feed, you're more driven and more aggressive with what you need to bring in.
Yes.
So at my company, Platinum, we know collectively everyone that we have work for us and their families that are surrounded by them, whether it's their husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, children. One of the lads is like a carer for his mother.
Yeah.
And they look after their parents and stuff like that. Technically, collectively, my business pays for 120 people to live. Now, I know in the grand scheme of things, that's not very much. I know that. I get that. Yeah. But to me, that's a big deal. And it's a responsibility I take very seriously because I know these people.
It's funny that because I'm like that with coaching. My favourite thing is when someone's wife comes to me and says, you fucking saved this marriage. I'm like, well, it wasn't me. That fills me up more than the guy himself telling me it when the family's impacted by it, because that is huge, mate.
For you, you've almost got a harder job than I have because I sell a product or a service.
Yes.
If we sell someone a solar system or a CCTV system or fire alarm, could be rewiring a house or doing whatever, there's something at the end that is measurable, is tangible, is something you've
either done it or you haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With you, investing in you, personal growth, personal development, you only really see it after you've paid the money, you've done the course, you've done the time.
It's you that's had to do the work.
Yeah, exactly.
It is mad that. And then when I think about it, like you do the work for people, really.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I can't do the work for you. They have to still do the work, which is quite interesting. Makes me wonder why people pay for coaching.
I've thought that a few times, mate.
Well, I have coaches across the board, and I'm thinking, fucking hell. Last night I had a fight with one of my boxing coach. I'm paying you for you to punch me in the fucking face. I couldn't eat my tea last night because he spun me fucking jaw.
Do you remember when we first started working together about a year ago?
Yeah.
I sent you this WhatsApp. I was in a bit of a bad place. And you know exactly what I'm going to say now.
It's history.
I said, Morty, I'm really struggling at the minute. I'm going through some shit in business and I'm getting anxiety and I'm really worried about what people think of me. And you text back in capital letters saying, fuck off, you're not that important.
It didn't change the game for you, right?
It did.
Did change the game. We're not that important. Excuse me. Because we're not the star of anybody else's movie. No. So let's roll back to what you just said then. What was it then? Because you kind of mentioned it before. What was it that made you reach out to me and come into what I'm doing? Because it isn't normal what I do.
No.
When people say, what do you do? I've been doing it since 2016. I still don't know.
Yeah.
I still can't answer it.
You just wing it, don't you?
Yeah. I help people get their shit together. And people still don't get that. Well, how do you do it? Because I don't want to say life coach. Yeah. It's fucking... Yeah, it's a bit yucky. I don't want to say professional speaker because I do more than that. I don't want to say business coach because I do more than that. I don't want to say author because that's the thing that I'm worst at. Yeah. I don't want to say influencer because it's fucking pathetic. Except if I'm trying to get a boxing match, I'm definitely an influencer. Misfits, let's fucking go. What made you?
I reached out to you because it's going to sound awful now. It's going to sound like I'm slagging you off. You are probably the most real person I know.
Yeah.
And when you look at a lot of these lifestyle coaches, gurus, coaches, influencers, people that help you.
Yes.
It's almost sometimes fake.
They're perfect.
Robotic.
Everything's perfect.
Yeah. With you swear. We have good banter with you. You tell it as it is. We're not always politically correct in the group.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Mate, we're everything that's wrong with society. Political incorrectness.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. We are. Yeah.
And I think when you come from a trades background... If you've ever worked on a construction site,
ruthless.
It's pretty a special place.
Yes.
There's no such thing as dignity at work.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
It's fucking ruthless.
It's man eat man.
Some of the nicknames are fucking wild.
Yeah.
I read. Have you seen that meme going around where there's like trades banter on site's the best? The guy with one arm and everyone calls him octopus. And someone said, "Oh, that's nothing. That there's a guy who's little and we call him Shetland Tony because he's so small." I'm like, you couldn't get away with that anywhere else but the trades. And it's weird that, because I think for me that comes from them 4 years I spent in a factory.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I've got a potty mouth. I don't do it on purpose. I'm like, I spent 4 years working with fucking raging alcoholics who were on permanent night shift. That's all they did was talk about shagging, turn up at work pissed, smoke like fucking troopers, and tell really inappropriate jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're getting a lot of life fulfillment. How many of them, did you say 16 years ago you were there?
Ooh, man, no, I was 16 when I started there, so...
And what are you now, 52?
No. Fuck you. I was 19 when I left. I'm 44 now, so 25 years ago that.
Okay, and of that original group of people, look how successful you've become since then in your journey.
It's wild, isn't it?
How many people, if you walk past that factory now, how many people are still there doing
loads.
Same job?
Loads of them are. It's mad. It's mad. There's one of them I see at the match every week.
Really?
And mate, some people are happy with that. They're content to do that. But
there's nothing wrong with that.
Do you know what? I don't think it was ever for me. I hated it. Here's the worst part, though. I was also really bad at it. Like, I was terrible and I had no interest in getting better. Yeah. My dad, I think about this. I haven't thought about it often, but when I do, I feel quite bad because my dad went out of my way to get that job because I couldn't do anything else. Had 2 GCSEs that were useless, French and Spanish. Yeah. Couldn't get into do A-levels because you needed 3. Yeah. Didn't want to go back and sit the GCSEs. So my dad was like, I've got you this apprenticeship. I never really wanted it, but you know, you get to that point where there's no other options.
This is in your book, isn't it?
It is. So often I feel, it is. Yeah. I feel pretty bad about going in there and being shit and not caring about getting better. I fucking hated it. But that's also motivation because I'd hate to go back to that.
Yeah.
I'd hate to go back to that. I listened to a podcast the other day, actually. Who was it? There was it was a football. I'm not that narcissistic. I'm narcissistic, but not that bad. It was a football I seen. He went and he worked on a site for about 6 months, and he got the chance to play football as a pro. And part of his drive was that he never wanted to go back to doing that. And some people love it. I mean, there's a lad who I served me time with still there. He loves it, but it was just. I think the problem was not only did I hate it, I was terrible at it. Yeah. And when you don't like something and you shit at it and you've got no interest in getting better, that is deathbed material. So where were you at then before you came in? Because I know you'd had some challenges, right?
Yeah, I think my work life was consuming me. Mm-hmm. I got to the point where the business was starting to grow and grow quick. If you think of the sort of rise in the last sort of 2-3 years, it was not sort of, most businesses go on a trajectory where it's kind of a bit like that. It does go up.
Yes.
Look at the trends, but we kind of started making waves in the right pools, and it started.
Then was it all of a sudden just?
Yeah.
Was
boom,
it?
Boom.
We've never even really talked about that. How fast they grew.
So
on a scale, then, like if you could scale that, you don't have to talk about numbers if you don't want to. But what was that jump like?
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So obviously, year 1 for the whole year, we did 50,000. Mm-hmm. We're now 2024, and obviously we disclose what we do with you. So Q1 2024, we've done 2.4 million.
It's fucking insane to me, that. It's insane to me, that, isn't it? And how long, what's the difference between the two? Like, what's the time difference between you? So if you kept that up, you do fucking close to 10 mil, you say. That's even mad, by the way.
Yeah.
If you think about it like that, 10 fucking mil, 50 grand in the first year. What's the time difference between those? How long have you been doing it for?
This is the 12-year gap between
12-year gap. I mean, that's fucking wild, isn't it? What was the biggest jump that you made? In terms of, so that point in your life where to jump, what was the biggest jump? So you went from, so for me, one of the biggest jumps I made was I went from 80 to 300, from 300 to a mil.
Yeah.
And then I've kind of drifted between a mil and a mil and a half for the last few years. We'll do more than that this year, but what was the?
We went from 320, 330 to 1.2.
So that's quadrupled.
Yeah, yeah. And that was a big year for us because we kind of thought, shit, we've got £1 million business. Do you know what I mean? We've gone from 2 sparks from Sheffield.
Yes.
That can do the job.
Yes.
But are fucking playing at business.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a clue what we were doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
We didn't know what a financial statement was.
Yes.
I didn't know what ROI meant.
Yes.
I thought ROI is what someone you came back from a lad's weekend in Magaluf with. Do you know what I mean? We didn't know anything.
Yeah.
We made it up as we go along.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you kind of meet people. And I think you do need to, in this, 100%, you need to surround yourself with the right people.
I mean, we talked about that upstairs.
Networking.
I think it's one of the hugest things, networking. Even just being around people, maybe you don't do business with them, but being around people that just understand what it's like to be self-employed, because it isn't normal.
Yeah.
It isn't normal. And I think being a business owner is one of the loneliest things you could be, even when you've got a team of 30 people.
Yeah.
Because they're all employed. They're all guaranteed their income. It's not them that's going to lose the house if the business doesn't fail.
It's playing Monopoly with your own money. That's the way I see it at the end of the day. It's playing Monopoly with your own money.
What were some of the mindset shifts that you had to have then between when you made that shift to $1 million? What were some of the biggest shifts that you had to make personally? So obviously, did you come off the tools then?
Yeah.
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 So was that hard?
I was bang average at it anyway.
Oh, really?
So,
really?
Yeah, like it's I think I'm definitely better on the business side of things.
Yeah.
I think I've grown quite naturally into that role.
Yes.
I think I'm quite good with people.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to think.
Yeah.
I think people respect me and my opinion and what I do.
Yes.
And I think that's good.
Yeah.
And I've just grown that role. I think the areas when we got to $1 million,
yes,
we kind of thought, shit, we had to change.
Yes.
Is when you start getting to that sort of turnover, you start tendering for bigger jobs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, certain things start getting looked at in a bit more detail. So, for example, if you're going to rewire someone's house, a 3-bed semi,
yeah,
you know, it might be $5,000
yeah,
or whatever to do it.
Yeah.
If you're doing a 30, 40, 50 grand install, they're going to want breakdown of costs. They're going to want to know how much you're paying for light switches, how much you're paying for cable, how much you're paying for lights.
So it becomes more about detail.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
But then you got to start working working smart, not harder comes into play. You're thinking, right, I need to get out of my supply chain. I need to sit them all down. I need to ultimately play them off against each other to get the best deal I can for my business.
Yes.
Because ultimately, the lower the price you can buy the product for, the more you can sell it for.
Yeah.
That's
so you've got to start squeezing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the bigger you get, you have less wiggle room at the top end. You need to work it out at the back end.
Yeah.
And again, we were discussing this again this morning.
Yeah.
Kind of what you can charge yourself out at for. Right. It's going to divide opinion. And I know you get a lot of tradespeople, a lot of builders, sparkies, plumbers, plasterers, painters.
Heat engineers, like they like to call themselves. Yeah.
It's going to cause this is going to trigger people now. This is going to trigger you.
Well, we're in the right place. Yeah. We're in the right place, mate. And all I do, do you know what I like about triggering people, right? I always say this, man. I never go out of my way to trigger people. I just like to get people to think differently. Yeah. Because I think so many of us are trying to change our actions with the same old thoughts. So if you have one belief around money and it's that, oh, well, people won't pay that. It's this, it's that. I'm like, well, if you believe that people won't pay that, then your sales pitch is going to be shit because you're going to go in. I'm like, so your thought actually matters more than the action sometimes.
100%. People don't buy the product, people buy people.
Yeah.
And I maintain that still to this day.
Yes.
People buy the people that are kind of fronting that business.
I got asked the question about investments the other day. How do you choose your investments? I was like, well, the first person I look at is who am I making the investment with?
Yeah.
I'm not buying a house. I'm doing a deal with the person that's selling the house. I'm not buying a hotel. I'm doing a deal with the person that I'm buying the hotel with. Yeah. So I could look at a deal on paper and think, fucking hell, that's a great deal. But if I'm not bought into the person that I'm going into the deal with. So, for example, I invested heavily into a company recently, and I'm like, it wasn't really the company. The product's amazing, or I wouldn't have went in. But I trusted the person. I like his vibe. I like his energy. I knew him previously, so that I think that you're right, mate.
That's what you bought into.
I'm not really looking at the investment. I'm looking at the people I'm investing in.
Yeah. I think the best way, obviously, you're quite a long way down your business journey, and you've made numerous investments. You've grown your business. You've took on a team. You've got bigger and bigger and bigger as the year's gone on.
Yeah.
Looking at someone who's just starting out, looking at making that first hire, looking to scale, looking to grow. I think look at it this way. Back to this people by people.
Yes.
Again, we'll go back to the electricians field.
Yeah.
Electricians are dead easy to come by. Good electricians are very, very hard to come by because people by people, and it's how you.
How do you know someone's a good electrician? Is it a skill set thing? Is it a...
For me, it's the complete package.
Ironically, it's probably an energy thing, right?
That's massively. And
that's part of the pun.
Yeah, and my energy's off the fucking scale. I'm weird. I'm scatty as fuck. I'm just like boom, 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 boom.
That's what I was saying. If Leslie wasn't there this morning, we'd still be talking about the thing we're talking about at 8 o'clock.
Mate, they would have locked up. And me and you'd be sat there in the dark, just talking
still talking about holidays.
Yeah, exactly that. I think people buy people.
Yeah.
And I think if you're onto a good tradesman, okay, so you've got a house on the seafront and you want some work doing. If you had a tradesman come up to your house that was presentable, had a nice van, doesn't have to be the brand new best van.
Wasn't covered in silicone.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Didn't have a fucking fag in his mouth.
Yes.
Didn't have, you know what I mean? Didn't have a rusted out old Transit that looks like it was subjected to a drive-by.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
For me, I would automatically feel more comfortable with that person. And this is why I think a lot of the time people in the trades think they always have to be cheap. Don't have to be cheap.
Because they also think that people have got no money. And they think that everyone's looking for cheap.
Yeah.
The reality is not everyone's looking for cheap. And I say this all the time. This sounds weird. And I'll get shit for this because I've said it before. You can't get a booking in a Michelin star restaurant.
No. Callum says the same thing.
That tells me something.
Yeah.
When you try and go business class, you can't, often there's none left.
Yeah.
It's fully booked, which again doesn't mean that there's not a cost of living crisis. I've said this before. Doesn't mean there's a lot of Christian. It doesn't mean that no one's shopping around on price. It just means that there are many, many people who are willing to pay more. Yeah. And that's often based on being able to communicate that you're the best, not that you're actually the best. That's the worst part, really. Yeah. Sometimes someone is better than someone else. Yeah. But the other person's got better marketing or presents themselves better or has more energy. You see this all the time let's just go back to the fitness game, right? Yeah. Right? I see people that are amazing PTs or an amazing physio, for example, but they're not making as much money as someone that's not as good as them simply because of their energy or the way they promote it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
That's
their skill set isn't as good. Their skill set's better, but they're not able to present themselves or communicate themselves so people don't buy as much from them or won't spend as much with them. It's huge, that.
It's almost monetizing your image. I think that's the best way I can describe it. It's monetizing your image. Yeah. I think you worded it earlier when we were talking, if you're a one-man band on the tools, you're a player manager. Yeah. That was your exact words.
Me using a football analogy. I know. Yeah, player manager, and player manager has never worked. No. Anywhere.
No. And I think when I first met you, I was trying to do both.
Yes.
And I was I think we were batting at a slightly bigger level, but I was still trying to get involved probably in shit I shouldn't have got involved in. Yeah. And then you kind of shifted my mindset. And I also probably think in the last year, that's why our revenues took another massive spike. Yeah. Because
you've kind of done less, but you're doing... Actually, I don't know if you're doing less. You're doing less shit that doesn't matter, more shit that does.
Yeah. Yeah. I work smart, not hard.
Yeah.
And I think now...
I mean, you work smart and hard.
Yeah.
I think that's possible, innit? You work smart and hard. That's the winner, really. You are pushing the stuff that actually moves the needle forward. Yeah. So you're working hard on the things that matter, and you're not working kind of at all on the things that don't matter. I'm still trying to think of a player manager. Gordon Strachan was the first player manager that I ever seen. Little ginger Scotsman. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, honestly, that whole time I was thinking, who's a player manager? Glenn Hoddle, remember him? Yeah. Glenn Hoddle was a player manager for Swindon. Yeah. Sorry, bro. I've gone completely off tangent.
It's fine. It's football. It's football.
Let's talk about you going hard and smart. What are some of the things that you believe then that a business owner who's looking to get to the next level, what are some of the things that you, if we say, because that's a cliche, innit? Work smarter, not harder. Yeah. What is working smarter? What is that?
Working harder is focusing on the big things. Mm-hmm. Big things every day.
Like for you, what would that be?
Making sure that obviously all the lads are paid, making sure suppliers are paid, making sure the work diary is filled up for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
That's the big thing.
So it's kind of all the money stuff. Yeah. And whether you like it or not, your business will live and die on money. Like it's just
it drives me mad. And I think if you can't sell in business, it lives and dies with sales.
There's no business.
I do not care what anyone says. You could have the best product in the world. You could be the smartest person in your field. Mm-hmm. But if you cannot sell and you cannot monetize that, you're dead in the water.
A business without clients isn't a business. A business without customers isn't a business. It's interesting. I called someone out. I got asked to guest train for a group of coaches the other day. Yeah. And a guy said something where I was like, business could be better, but I feel like I'm in a good place morally and ethically. Yeah. I'm like, that doesn't... It's like a lot of people have this idea that if you're making money, you've got no morals and you've got no ethics. It drives me insane. I'm like, where does that come from?
People that don't have money normally
and it goes way back to, if you watch a movie, the bad guy's always a millionaire. Yeah. If you watch TV shows, bad guy's always a millionaire, every single one. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether it's fucking... I was thinking of Inspector Gadget. Remember Inspector Gadget where you had the guy with the cat? Yeah. Always a millionaire. Any kid's movie, the millionaire's always a bad guy. It tries... I don't know. I don't know. Poor people must write the movies.
they
I'll get cancelled for
and
saying
they
that.
always had medical degrees.
It's so mad, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean?
Isn't it interesting? I've said that before. Why is that? Why are beliefs around money like that? I think it starts at school.
I think so.
Maybe it starts at school. Money's bad. It's such an interesting topic, isn't it?
Because school, that's an interesting topic.
Yes, it is. I try not to talk about with my kids.
I know,
Because you know what I get? Well, Dad, you did okay. You did shit at school and you're doing what you're doing.
I've had similar conversations with my son.
Nice.
So I try and like say to Ethan, I mean, he changes what he wants to do on a regular basis.
Yes.
He's 9. He wanted to be a ninja last week.
Well, Max, when he was 9, he wanted to be Shaggy off Scooby-Doo.
Career goals. Career goals.
And he's 13 now. He still doesn't know,
Yeah.
but I'm cool with that, to be fair.
He's not the smartest kid.
Yeah.
I think he has to apply himself a lot. He's just like me. I'm not an academic.
Yeah.
I think there's people that are much smarter than me. They can read a book, they can retain the information,
But they can't sell.
Yeah, and they can't sell.
They can't sell. What do you think some of the... I've totally skipped what we were going to say before because I think this is important. What do you think some of the keys are to being good at selling?
Caring more about the customer than they care about themselves.
Oh, shit. Okay. I think believing in your product's huge as well. I mean, if you can't sell your products, because one of the reasons is I can be worse at selling than someone else, but if I've got a 10 out of 10 belief in how good my product is, I don't have to be as skilled. Because I'm like, well, I'm a 10 out of 10. If you don't buy, it's you that misses out, not me.
Yeah.
I'm a 10 out of 10 on my belief. And I think you're like that with your business as well. Because you know deep down that what you do, you're better at than anybody else.
I wouldn't say better.
I would.
I don't think... I think we're relatively good at what we do. I think saying we're the best at what we do is a very bad mindset. I think you can always...
Because you could rest on your laurels.
Yeah, 100%. You can always do better. You can always do things more aggressive. You can always tweak things.
Yeah.
I look at every job we do, and whether it be a $2,000 job or a $200,000 job, we always find things that we think we could have done better.
Yeah.
Things we could have changed. Things we could have done different. But I think where I believe that we are unparalleled is I've almost got like an unhealthy obsession with customer service, of like popping into our customers, making sure they're okay, making sure they're happy with everything. Is there anything that we can do better? What have we done good? What have we done shit? And then at the back of it, you gain their trust, and this is where the trust element comes in. Once they know that they trust you and you trust them, they understand you've got their best intentions.
Yes.
Now, obviously, as a business, we are there to make a sale. We are there to get money out of them. That's why we're there. But if you can also care about what they do, then take their money.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's helping everyone, then everyone wins.
Yeah.
And money is, when you start to employ people, you make money as a byproduct of the problems you solve.
Yes.
So people come to you with all sorts of issues.
All sorts of issues, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
There's not an issue that I haven't worked on.
No.
There's not a business I haven't worked on, I don't think.
No, I know. But you don't really know anything about what I do. And we've sat down, we've had conversations. You don't.
That was the next question I was going to ask.
You know nothing about what I do.
Yeah.
But that is almost the best place to be because you look at it from outside the box. So when I say...
See your blind spots.
Yeah.
That's why I have a coach that doesn't do what I do.
Yeah.
Because he can see things that I haven't seen. I remember one of the first coaches I hired when I tripled my income, he basically invented Elite X. He looked at my old business model. He was like, why aren't you doing that?
Yeah.
And the truth is, I hadn't even fucking considered it. It'd never even been an idea. It's like, why don't you have this? And within fucking 2 weeks, I added an extra 120 grand a year to my income. Like within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of having a coach because they're not in the weeds.
Yeah.
So tell the guys what it is you actually do. All of them.
What was it? Sorry?
What do you actually do? What's your business? What's your business is?
Oh God. So just the trade side?
All of it. Whatever you're comfortable sharing, because there is some mad shit in here.
There is some mad shit that I probably can't share.
Yes.
So sort of the core business is electrical, fire alarms, CCTV, and fiber optic infrastructure systems.
Yes.
We're currently working on a project at the minute, which is a private fiber network, which is, as I found out just before we started the project, is the biggest privately owned fiber optic network in Europe.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and it's a real proud thing for us to have on our CV.
Yeah.
It's 49 kilometers of fibre optic cable on one site in a 5 mile square radius.
Fucking hell.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of fibre optic cable.
Fucking cable. It's a lot of internet, mate.
Yeah.
Which is special. It's something for us to have on our resume. We've built hundreds of networks, man.
Yeah.
We've built hundreds of networks,
Yeah.
but nothing that big.
Yeah.
Nothing that big.
Yeah.
So it was like Is
there any fear around doing that? Like you could fuck it up, or you might not be able to handle it, or?
For me, it wasn't fear of fucking it up. I
Yeah.
think it was fear of not delivering, because it's the same thing you do every day.
Yes.
It's the same thing you do every day. It's just bigger.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got to run a cable, for example, 10 meters,
Yeah.
you're running it 20 meters, 30 meters. It's bigger.
I feel the same way about getting on stage. People are like, I actually find it harder to speak in front of 10 people than speaking in front of 2,000.
Comedians say that, don't
Yeah,
they? Because
yeah.
it's harder to capture the room with 10 people, isn't
Yeah.
it? Whereas
Well, you can also see all their faces. When there's thousands there, you can't see anything because the lights are too bright.
Yeah.
It's a mad thing. But it's the same kind of deal. I'm like, fuck, this is more people. But actually, you might even get even more energized about this job, even though it was bigger, even though there was... Yeah.
I think, for me, the more that rides on it, the more you care about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't...
And that's a good sign, I suppose, isn't it, that you care?
Yeah, because you don't want to be known as the guy that tried and failed. And people put you in a position of trust to deliver these projects for them. You don't want to be the guy.
Privilege, innit?
Yeah, exactly that. And I am fortunate, very, very fortunate to be in the position I'm in.
Yeah.
I'd be lying to you and everyone else if I think I didn't have some lucky breaks along the way.
Yes.
I have had some lucky breaks.
Yeah, so far.
I've landed on with some sort of customers that are stuck with me through the good times and the bad times.
Yes.
And they've kind of helped me, progress along my way, and I'm eternally grateful for that. But equally, I've always done my best to capitalize on every opportunity as well.
Well, I think that as well with luck. It's like, well, I was in that room, you weren't. So there is a bit of luck, but I'm always like, if you want luck, you got to be in the room. Yeah. So the people that I've met in my journey and the people that I've attracted and networked with, I was like, well, I was in the room while you were sat on your arse because you wouldn't, the room wasn't in your town. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. If you want to get these, you got to buy a ticket.
Exactly. How do I get these connections, Paul, like you've got? I'm like, you get off your arse and stop just sending DMs.
Yeah.
You would, like these celebrities, I'm like, I'm not DMing them. I'm going to where they are. I'm knocking their fucking door down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm showing up events where they're speaking. I'm staying behind at the end of the gig.
Yeah.
I'm waiting at the fucking stage like a stalker. It is because I'm a pest. But I'm like, you got to get to get the luck, to get the opportunities. Yeah. You got to be in the fucking room in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's what probably happened to you. You're in the room. You're in the right place at the right time. Yeah. But you put yourself in the place.
Yeah. But you can never put yourself in that place when you're working for someone.
Oof. That's interesting.
It's not possible.
That's interesting.
Because if you're working for someone, if you're working for Dave the plumber and you're Gary working for Dave the plumber. If you go to a job, they don't know you as Gary. They know you as someone who works for Dave the plumber. How
do you, because this is interesting, because I think about this quite a lot when because obviously I'll be on a call and my team will be on the call and I'll be saying something similar, but I'm like, ooh, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know that they've got great jobs though. I know that there's a lot of perks. I know I pay them very well. I know there's a lot of opportunity for them. So how do you, if your team are listening now, what would you say?
This is why I was a bit reluctant to do this.
Mate, I get it every week. I'll be on a call and I'll be saying, fuck that, fuck this, do your own thing.
Yeah.
And Kath will be sitting there and I'm thinking, fuck, Kath's on my team.
Yeah. I think...
But they know they've got it made. And actually, you think about it, I don't believe everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur.
No.
I don't think it is for everybody. I think it takes a very, I was going to say unique, more fucking weird and crazy type of person to be self-employed.
You have to be something seriously wrong with you to go into doing your own.
As well.
Oh, massively. But the thing that I do have from my current team is, and don't get me wrong, we've had good teams over the years, we've had bad teams over the years. Staffing is your number one issue. It always will be.
I agree.
And I think for the first time since we started to grow, we've got a team where, this is why I'm happy to do this, because I'm pretty transparent with the team now. I'm pretty transparent.
I think that's one of the keys, so man.
Yeah. Like each month I'll sit down with Skelly, my right-hand man. I'll sit down with Jody. I'll sit down with Andy and go, right, we have turned over X this month.
Yes, I think that's fucking, it's scary but critical.
Yeah, we've done this in sales.
Yeah. And
we've done this on parts and gear, this on wages.
Yes.
So for example,
those last two numbers are even more important because people, a lot of people, and we've had this in our business, but I know how much the business makes. Yeah. Someone said that once, I want a pay rise, I'll know how much the business makes. I'm like, did you know this?
Yeah.
Did you know this Facebook ads bill? Did you know this VAT? Did you know this personal tax? Did you know this corporation tax? I don't know what any of those tax things mean, but...
you don't pay them, do you?
Leslie does.
Leslie
does, aye.
Yeah.
Aye. But it's an interesting thing, sharing that. I think everyone wants a team that's bought into the mission, but they don't want to share the actual mission. They want to share word salads, company statements and mission statements.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the mission.
Yeah.
The mission's those numbers, mate.
They
share that part.
Yeah. And I think it's almost sort of, you're on the Titanic, but you've already got your life vest on, so they can jump at any one time and they're good to go, and you're going down with the ship if it goes west.
That's a fucking amazing point, mate. And I think sharing those numbers and getting on the mission, they feel like they're part of the business, so they know that when their business grows, so do they. And so my team know that if the business makes more money, they'll get more money.
And that is the thing.
Yes, and they'll get more opportunity.
You've got it.
Yeah.
So I've got my core team around me at the minute.
Yeah.
There's the wider team.
I would call them, I love having in my team what I'm going to call entrepreneurs. Yeah. They're always looking at maximizing the opportunities for the business. Yeah. Even though they're employed, they're entrepreneurs because they know as the business grows, so will everything for them. And I think that's fucking critical. And to get that, I think you have to share what you've said before. You have to share those numbers, not just your fucking mission statement. Do you know what I mean?
But it's also equally important to share the good months and the shit months. Because there's times where in business, and I think, again, we've been transparent and honest with everyone.
Yeah.
Early doors, we quite regularly become weeks or hours from going to the fucking wall, man. Do you know what I mean? We've been to the well quite a few times early doors. Yeah. And I think everyone needs to be prepared for that. I think the best way of describing it, the highs are high, but the lows are fucking low, like really low. And I think if you share the good and the bad with your team, your core team that you've got around you, they will have a greater understanding of like the good, the bad, and the indifferent. Yeah. And the key thing is with that is getting them to buy into your vision of where you want to go and where you want to take this.
Yes. And show them their involvement in it as well. Yeah. Show them how they're a part of it rather than just a number who clocks in and clocks out. Yes.
Let them go.
Huge.
Massive. I think, I don't even know whose saying this is. It might have been one of yours, or you ripped it off from someone else.
Probably the second one.
Yeah, yeah.
What was it?
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yes. I didn't say that, but I've seen it on a meme or something. I probably shared it. Yeah. It's interesting you said about the highs and the lows because I remember having a conversation with Luke O'Nien, the Sunderland captain, name dropping, and we were saying what's the difference between like a world class player and someone that's not a world class player. He said actually a lot of the world class players, a lot of them aren't more talented. They just don't get too high and they don't get too low. They're able to fucking regulate their emotions. Yeah. So they don't get carried away when they win because they want to keep on winning. Yeah. And they don't get carried away when they lose because they don't want to fucking get caught up in that. And I think that's in business. I think some part of you has to be able to remain level and not get carried away with your £2.5 million quota or not get carried away with your best selling book. You get carried away with that, you get swept up in it. I think that's when and at the same time, if something goes bad and doesn't go well, you can't get too fucking swept away by that either.
I think this is why Elite X has been a game changer for me.
Because we've got all sorts in there.
There's all sorts of stuff going off in there, and the way that you structure the quarters is the game changer. Yeah. So like, obviously Q1 absolutely still blows my mind when I think about it now. Yes. Obviously we're a month into Q2 now. Yeah. Just finished April. Yeah. We got Q journal closed. Boom.
Yes. January, that's done now.
February,
yeah,
March,
that's interesting.
Done. VAT bill submitted.
I love
aneurysm.
What was
you know what I mean? You're going to ask how much you were.
What was it? It's got to be wild. I don't know if I want to know. I'll probably vomit and want to leave the country.
187,000.
Fucking hell, that's wild, isn't it, man? Yeah. People forget about that. Yeah. People forget about how much you're paying taxes. When we talk about money, I'm like, you wouldn't like to see me tax bill. And you know what I mean? But would you ever, this is a left field question, would you move countries to save money on tax? Because people still ask me, because you know how much I've been to Dubai, why haven't you moved to Dubai? Because of the tax. Yeah. I'm like, I wouldn't move countries to save money on tax. There's more to life than that.
I think with you, I think for you personally, it would dilute you as a brand.
Yes.
Because...
me northern yeah. Thing. I got signed by HarperCollins because I'm a northern bloke. Yeah.
I think putting you in Dubai is like putting an ancient Inca in Glasgow. Do you know what I mean? There's no good that can come from that particular situation, man.
I agree, and I have considered it, but I'm like, oh, nah, it's not for me, that.
For me, I wouldn't be able to do what I do.
Oh, you wouldn't, would you?
Would I?
I wouldn't be able to go to football. That would be the main reason.
Am I just going to have all of like my meetings over Zoom? Yeah. And they'd be like, oh yeah, Greg, can you come and measure this up?
You'd hate that.
Zoom in a bit.
Yeah, you'd hate that. You'd hate.
It's not who I am. I'm a people person. Yeah. I love people.
You like being around people.
I hate people as well. Don't get me wrong, and that's my number one saying.
Yes.
I love being around people that are kind of on the same wavelength as me.
Yes, huge.
Yeah.
And do you think that's an important part of being in business then? People being around people on the same wavelengths? Because I do. Like I said, it's lonely. And I think when you're surrounded by, and again, a lot of my closest friends not in business. Yeah. So there's a point where I'm like, fucking hell, I need to be around people that get it sometimes.
You get to a situation where you kind of, your friend circles almost change.
Yeah.
I think, again, that's why I get on really well with Woodhouse so much. Because our drives up here every month for Elite X meetings is, you feel that...
Sometimes just that, I find when I'm going to a meeting, sometimes I'm like, oh, the flight was enough. Because I've got out of my environment.
Head, I think sometimes when you talk to someone that has a job and compare that to someone that's in business, they don't get it. No. They don't get it. Because if you work for someone, 5 o'clock, you can shut your phone in the drawer and pick it up tomorrow morning. And you think when you're working for yourself, if the phone rings 7 p.m. at night, you check your email or whatever, that could be a job. That could be something that you could earn money to pay your bills. It could be something to invest in more kit, marketing.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? The list goes
Funny enough, I got a question yesterday. How do you structure this when you work full time? I'm like, have you considered that just because you have a business doesn't mean you don't work full time? Yeah. You work more than... Sometimes you don't, which is the key. That's it. So sometimes I'm like, well, I'm not working Tuesday, for example. I don't have to work Tuesdays, or I don't have to... But there's days where if I'm going on holiday, I've worked fucking 8 days that week because I'm good, but I'm taking a week off doing nothing. So I think there's a big misconception that just because you have more business doesn't mean you have more time off. No. You can have, but there are times when you just eat shit.
Time's a very subjective topic, and you taught me this. You will always make time to do the things you enjoy. And it's true. Yeah. It's true.
That you value highest,
But you are always busy as fuck, but you also watch 18 football games a week at 90 minutes apart.
I am always busy as fuck, but I'm doing... Do you know what's weird, Greg? This is an interesting thing that I found myself saying all the time. Someone says, how are you? What's the first thing that comes out of my mouth? Busy. That means it's 5 to 12. We've had the knock. Yeah. I say busy, but then I think about it, it sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm not. I'm busy doing shit that I fucking love doing, or that excites me or challenges me. It's a really interesting time. Is such an interesting concept, and probably one of the most difficult things in business, because you probably came, and we've had this conversation today about work-life balance. What's your thoughts around that?
No such
work-life balance. Nah.
I think you have
what is it? What does it even mean?
I think you have work-life choices. I think work-life balance is something...
What is balance? Like, people can't even tell me what it is. What is it? How would you know you had work-life balance?
I think it's a lot of bullshit.
So what, is it 50-50? Is it 80-20? Is it 99-1? Yeah. What is it?
You have work-life choices. Yeah. So if you choose to work and work harder, that's a choice. Yeah. And in theory, the harder you work, the more you should reap the rewards from that. If you make the choice to go out with your friends on Friday night and get on the beer and get on the bag... and then you're feeling shit Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then you're starting to come round again on Tuesday, you've lost that time. But that was your choice at the end of the day. That was your choice. But then you can't complain that you've got fuck all. Yes. You've made fuck all.
Yes.
And I think in that particular situation, when you do go through those times, and it's a mindset thing, you will always blame everyone else apart from yourself.
Yes.
In that situation.
I see that so often, man.
Self-sabotage.
I see it so often. I said, I did an online seminar yesterday. Leslie told me not to ask the question. So, of course, I asked it.
That's like telling the child not to pick the lighter up. You know what I mean?
She said, don't ask that because it could trigger people. But I was like, I kind of want to. I said this. I just said, would you agree that every problem you have or have had in your business is down to you?
Yeah.
And Leslie was like, you can't ask that. I was like, I'm going to fucking ask it. Because there's no point, and I said it at the start, I was like, there's no point you staying on this seminar if you believe that where your business at is down to anyone but you. Because we love to blame the industry we're in. We love to blame the competition, how saturated it is. We love to blame the government. There's still people blaming lockdown. That's 4 years ago.
I know.
4 years ago.
I'll leave you with this.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably a good parting shot for your viewers.
Yes.
If they are going to go into their own business.
Yes.
When you said, is everything that went wrong in your business your fault? As a business owner, it may not be your fault, but it's fucking your responsibility.
Exactly that. Exactly.
It may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility.
At some level. Because a team member fucking up is still on you somehow.
It's your name.
You didn't train them properly.
Yeah.
You didn't set the expectations. You haven't managed them. You haven't communicated with them properly. So, of course, it may be their fault, but it's still your responsibility because at some level, that's why I say at some level, that is your responsibility. Yeah. Lockdown, for example, Greg, you got people whose businesses thrived. Exactly the same business died. The difference was how they responded to the fucking challenge.
Yeah.
Especially in fitness, there was gyms going out of business, and then other gyms just said, "I'll tell you what, guys, I think it's more important for you to stay in shape now than it ever has been. Let's get on Zoom 3 times a week."
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
There were people that did what I did at that time that have not came back from it.
Yeah.
I said to my guys, listen, I know we normally do 1 call a week, but I'll be on every morning at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
The other guys just like, oh shit, I'm going to shut this down. Cancel everyone's payments because they were like, people can't afford it. People ended up with more money in lockdown.
Yeah.
Because we're getting fucking handout. Everyone ended up with more money in lockdown.
Yeah.
I can't think of any single person that had less money in lockdown.
You couldn't spend it, could you?
Nah, couldn't spend
Well,
it. You couldn't get garden furniture and you couldn't get hot tubs.
No. And I think, Amazon took a fucking hammer, didn't they? How many Amazon parcels?
Wild.
I'd come back from my daily walk. Because, that was the highlight of the
Loads
day.
of shit.
Yeah, just fucking 12 parcels. On
Wild. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Greg Wallen.
Thanks, Morty.
Yeah, that was awesome.